Let's begin with introduction of the judges. And Luis, if you'd care to begin, that would be great. Tell the students a little bit about you, and then we can get our other judges to do that. And I'll finish up and be the last, and then we'll start. So Luis, you're on.
Hi, my name is Luis Milan. I'm part of the LMU team for ethical competition. So I have been in the ethical and the risk management for almost 20 years, a little bit more than 20 years. So I'm very happy to, obviously, to be part of this competition and be with all of you. So very quick. Thank you.
Vicki?
Yes, good morning. Vicki Settle. I work for a major aerospace and defense company. I'm located here in not so sunny Rhode Island today, and I am the Director of Ethics and Business Compliance within our Missiles and Defense Systems organization, some 30,000 plus employees. So excited to be here and to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Chris?
My name is Chris Selsey. Good morning, everybody. I work for the city of Santa Monica. I'm the Resource Recovery and Recycling Director here in Santa Monica. So basically I run all the garbage and recycling and organic collection trucks and have a lot of fun doing that. I'm a graduate of LMU 2006. Glad to be here.
And I'm Barney Rosenberg. I'm one of your senior judges today. After college, I joined an organization called the Peace Corps and spent 2 years in Brazil, where I started a co-op to build houses for poor people. I got fluent in Portuguese, and beginning, when I returned, I went to law school and worked part-time as an interpreter for the State Department, traveling around the country with guests of the government. And then when I became a lawyer, I represented the government of Brazil in Washington, D.C. and their embassy. So learn other languages, stand you in good stead. Okay, let the games begin. So in this part of the competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity. And you're going to assign to us, the judges, likewise, a fictional identity. So please make sure that everybody knows who you are and who we are before you begin. You're going to have 25 minutes, and I'll be the timer, to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem you selected, and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three counts. During this time, we will not interrupt you. When you're finished, though, we get 10 minutes to ask you questions in character. So if we're the board of directors of the company, we will ask you questions in that role. After the Q&A, we'll all take a deep breath and we'll give you some feedback. So with that, team, whenever you're ready, begin.
Good morning, everyone. We are Relooped, and we urge you, the executive board of Loop US and their parent company, TerraCycle, to enhance their firm based on the suggestions proposed in this presentation. In this presentation, we will be following the displayed agenda, but first, we would like to offer some background on the topic of single-use plastics. As seen in the displayed image, the environmental impact of single-use plastics is extravagant and cannot be ignored. According to the EPA, containers and packaging contribute 82.2 million tons of municipal solid waste generated in the United States, which is 28.1% of our total waste generated.
Okay, so just to give you a rundown of what Loop is. Loop is a global platform that was launched in 2019 by a recycling firm called TerraCycle. They have a global goal of offering reusable packaging across a broad spectrum of categories, whether it's ranging from restaurants to consumer cleaning supplies. Loop is available in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and France. It utilizes a reuse system that will be made available through e-commerce and physical retail stores. Once used, the packaging of the product is either returned to the retailer or picked up by Loop, and then it is then sanitized, refilled with the product, and then it is returned to the retailer or it is sold online. Loop collaborates with brands and different manufacturers to make refillable versions of the company's single-use packaging. Loop is currently partnered with over 200 consumer product companies and more than a dozen retailers. Just to give you an example of who they're currently partnered with, currently they are partnered with Walgreens and Kroger to put in pilot programs with Loop stations in a few of their stores. These stations are where consumers can buy products with their reusable packaging and later on come back to the drop off the packaging so they can be reused again. Some brands that work with Loop include Clorox, Tide, Crest, Gillette, Sprite, Purina, and there's many other brands as well. So our goal here is to create a more circular economy. Right now, our economy comprises of resources from natural world that get brought into our economy that get used around by the government, firms, consumers, and then evidently they become waste. So this problem here is that with the waste cannot be reused and it cannot come back into the economy. Therefore, our resources then become finite. A circular economy therefore seeks to change by using and implementing ways that eliminate waste and keep resources circulating around, which reduces our impact on the environment and gives our economy more resources to work with. So this is where Loop comes in. Loop is poised for the future. Corporations are actively looking to increase their positive impact in areas traditionally that they never considered before, like the environment and the societies that they currently are operating in. Loop offers companies a chance to do this. So they have their sustainable packaging can be easily adopted by companies, whether it's distributors and retailers who want their carbon footprint to be lowered. This can also increase their brand image as consumers like companies who pay attention to larger world problems, for example, like climate change. This will also lead, this will also lead to increase in profits. Although Loop has done a lot, Loop still has some flaws in their operation. So we have pointed out two flaws with Loop's operations. The first one is that their current partners who have Loop stations in them are evidently very small. They've noted that their online platforms do not make much sense to consumers who will go in stores physically, and the physical presence is also very limited. Our second problem that we noticed with Loop is that because of the previous point and other factors, Loop's recognition among consumers is also limited. They do not have many ways to engage with potential customers other than their website and a few store locations. Well, this is where we come in.
So I'll be kind of going over what our firm is. So what our firm is acting as a consulting firm to Loop in an effort to address the problems that we've outlined. This kind of comes in 3 steps. One is to increase their physical presence by obtaining more partnerships, which will therefore increase more physical stands where people can both purchase brands that have sustainable or that use their sustainable packaging and offer more drop-off locations for them. Another is that they should increase consumer attention to their brand. Sort of as we noted earlier, they don't have as big of a attention to their brand. So the idea would be to help increase their brand image, which will help get more consumers on board with their message. And then lastly would be a small fee to help ensure the return of their reusable packaging so that there aren't as many sunk costs with the production of their expensive packaging. So going into solution 1, sort of increasing partnerships, Loop has done really well in partnering with brands like Walgreens and Kroger to help put more physical locations in stores, but now they should focus on further expanding their brand. And one way to do this is to determine where their brands that they supply their reusable packaging to are sold mostly, so that they can find more stores that are of more prime potential partnership, so that they can put a physical stand in these stores and also offer a lot of products to sell to consumers in these stores, rather than maybe focusing on one product where it's sold and only being able to offer that one product that they're partnered with. So a couple other potential solutions would be to find companies that emphasize improving their environmental impact. Obviously, Loop is focused on promoting a circular economy. They're very environmentally centered, and finding companies that have this sort of environmental thought at the forefront of their business, either in their mission or values, or in a goal later to increase this environmentalism, would be good for Loop to help exploit. That way they can find companies that may more readily accept their message and be able to incorporate their brand into theirs. Another could be they could help pool resources in obtaining a larger partnership with one of the bigger retailers that provide numerous locations for their stands. This could come in many different forms of retailers like Walmart, CVS, or Target. Any brand that has a large impact and has a lot of locations. That way they don't have to spend as much time finding smaller partnerships that may only address a couple locations, whereas they could go after a Walmart, for example, and have many locations at their disposal. Another would be to increase their community partners. This could come from like cities, townships, communities they partner with to actually put stores on every couple blocks of their city or town. That way would help increase, again, their physical presence is what we're emphasizing here, is giving them more drop-off locations for consumers to help ease the return of their reusable products. And this seeks to address the UN SDG goal number 17. By increasing partnerships, more companies are likely to get on board with the idea of a circular economy, which will help promote the sustainable ideas that they emphasize into the mainstream. So solution 2 focuses on gaining consumer attention. Loop's presence both online and in person is very limited. If they want consumers to know their brand and to know their message, they should focus more on gaining consumer attention by any means. One way could be to invest more in their social media. In today's world, most people have at least one form of social media, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. A lot of people spend a lot of time on social media, and thus Loop should invest more resources into their social medias, as that is an easier way to get consumers' attention if they're already on these platforms. Another would be to incentivize consumers to return Loop products. This could come in many forms, whether that be coupons to the products that they offer their reusable packaging to, or gift cards to retail stores that they're partnered with. And the goal to this is to provide consumers a benefit to using their products. And by providing a benefit, consumers that use them will spread the word to their friends and family, and thereby enhance Loop's reputation and gain more consumer attention from them. Another could be with increasing importance for consumers' need to tackle environmental issues. Loop should find more ways to promote their message of promoting a circular economy. Nowadays, there are a lot more environmentally conscious consumers in the world, very aware of their environmental impact. With Loop's message of promoting a circular economy, they should promote this message so to attract consumers that are very conscious of their environmental impact, and that will in turn enhance their reputation. And this will help address UN SDG goal number 12. By helping endorse the use of reusable packaging, it'll help increase responsible consumption of their products. The more reusable packaging in the economy, the more likely that we transition into a circular economy. And then lastly, to require a deposit for reusable packaging, it's similar to what Aldi offers in requiring a quarter to use their shopping carts so that they are returned. Loop should implement a similar thing by implementing a small fee for reusing their reusable packaging. and then so that gets deposited back to them, so there aren't as many sunk costs associated with making this expensive reusable packaging only to be used once, just like single-use plastics. And this will help UNSG goal number 12. By keeping the reusable packaging in circulation, it'll help promote a circular economy and thus providing more responsible consumption in our economy. And now we'll go over the costs and benefits of each.
Right. So whenever you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your business, if you're going to try something new, there's going to be costs and there's going to be benefits, right? In regards to Loop, trying to find a new partnership, there's going to be costs associated with that, right? If they want to expand their brand, they need to be in stores. People, if it's in terms of packaging a physical product, they need to be in a physical location, right? So if they're to increase their partnerships, their infrastructure is going to go up. They're going to have to, pay lawyers. They're going to have to pay accountants more. And if these partnerships don't work out, if they build a huge, Reloop station at a Walmart or, at a new Walgreens and it doesn't work, that could be, a huge cost. So figuring out, what retail stores have a large amount of people coming and going consistently is important. And, at the end of the day, Loop will need money for that. And, before they were to do that, they need to figure out what the return would be. Right now they're in smaller locations like a Walgreens or a Kroger, not where people really do the majority of their grocery shopping at a Walgreens. They need to focus on, where single-use plastics are really being used, whether it be in like a major grocery store, like a Walmart. But there's benefits to increased partnerships as well. If you could go, and getting their brand into big stores, puts it in front of the consumer. If you're walking through the grocery store and you see, all the food and whatnot, and then you see a Loop station, me personally, I would check it out. It's something new, reusable fashion or reusable packaging. It's very hip right now. People are, really starting to catch on to the impact that single-use plastic has on our environment, and they want to do something about it. And what they need is just more brand recognition. People need to know what Loop is. And that comes, hand in hand with their social media. If you could go to the next one. And strengthening the brand will be good for Loop. It's a good idea. It helps the environment, but people just don't know about it. And partly that's due to the fact that, Loop is just not in front of people's faces. People don't know about it. And, if they were, people are not going to do things for free, right? If this packaging is more expensive, they're not going to do this for free. They're not going to spend more money on a more expensive package for the environment. People are, it's tough times, it's COVID, people are not going to be spending more money. But if there's an incentive for it, if, okay, you'll get your money back, we can offer you, X amount of dollars back if you use our packaging, and you get to feel good about helping the environment, that works. But you have to pay for that to get in front of people's faces, right? You have to pay for people to get their money back after using your package and then after reusing it. But in terms of social media, it needs a complete revamp. It needs to be in front of people's faces, and you have to pay for that. But that Loop's main priority should be brand recognition, strengthening their brand. And that kind of goes hand in hand with that deposit to use reusable packaging. There's benefits to social media. They just need more brand attention. And then in regards to the third solution, the deposit to use reusable packaging, all of these solutions require capital, right? And Loop needs capital, whether if they can't, we're not, privy to, what Loop is doing in regards to their finances. This is from the outside looking in, but, all of these solutions need capital. And one way Loop can, you know, obtain capital from what they're already doing, would be requiring a deposit, right, for their product. It would be the hope that most people would bring it back and, you know, get their deposit back and help the environment. But that's not going to be everyone. People are forgetful. People are not going to do that. And then, you know, if they don't bring their packaging back, you know, Loop keeps the deposit and can put that into the, you know, solution stated before. But moving forward, the benefits are definitely worth the cost. You know, all three of these solutions require capital, but kind of playing off the idea that if Loop wants to expand and, you know, really help the world become a better place, they're going to have to spend money, right? And, you know, these three solutions we outlined, it is our belief that, you know, these are the best ways to one, strengthen the brand, and two, you know, make the world a better place because of what Loop does. And, you know, it's easier said than done. There's, you know, a bunch of laws and regulations that kind of govern how, you know, packaging, you know, works throughout, you know, not only the United States, but the world. And my colleague can talk about that.
Our solutions may be impacted by the following laws or regulations. The FDA Code of Federal Regulations, Title 21, which states that, quote, if you reuse food packaging material, you must take adequate steps to ensure that food contact surfaces are clean, such as by cleaning food packaging containers or using a clean liner, end quote. Furthermore, the Clean Water Action Section 402 also has laws and regulations that would impact our proposal. If partnered with cleaning products that are considered as hazardous waste, such as Clorox, specific regulations set by Section 402 of the Clean Water Act must be followed. The Clean Water Act prohibits, quote, the discharge of any pollutant from any point source to navigable waters unless authorized by a permit, end quote. Loop and our group Relooped combat FDA regulations by ensuring that the packaging is sent to a cleaning facility to be sanitized for use. Additionally, there can be boiled water used to clean contaminated packaging to remove contaminants such as chlorine. Looped also has the option to purchase permits to contaminate small amounts of water, but obviously that's not the greatest solution considering the goal and purpose of Loop and Relooped is to reduce environmental impact. So boiling water or saving diluted solutions could be alternatives to purchasing permits to address the Clean Water Act. And lastly, we will address the ethical impact of Loop and Relooped. Knowing the continued impact of single-use plastics and continuing to use them is inherently unethical. As we discussed before, we use a large amount of single-use plastics that are contaminating the oceans. They're filling up waste and they're creating a lot of waste. The single-use plastics industry is highly unethical because of the proven harmful effects it has on the environment as a whole. Unfortunately, it continues to be $1 billion industry per year. Therefore, the Loop should urge their partners to use their products to become less unethical by reducing this industry. And thank you for your time and for listening.
Luis, do you have a question for these folks about ethics?
Not right now. If you want to start, please.
Well, I do actually. Are you not proposing that we do anything about glass and paper?
Well, glass and paper would also be included in single-use packaging. So Loop uses aluminum containers, which can not only be reused time and time again and sanitized and refilled with the product, but it can also be recycled in the end for future use. So it's not just addressing single-use plastics, it's also addressing any single-use packaging.
Vicky?
Or when I think about the distribution process of, drop off and pickup, I'm thinking about the footprint issues associated with that. Have you thought about solution for Loop associated with gas prices and the environmental impact of that portion of it?
I believe sort of our idea in increasing their physical locations is to limit that environmental impact in terms of how much gas people are using to get to certain locations, with the idea being the more locations they have in their everyday lives, whether it be partnering with communities or partnering with more businesses. That way they don't have to, let's say they drive 20 minutes out to buy a product that has Loop's reusable packaging. They would have to drive 20 minutes back to deposit. That's a 40-minute round trip, which is impractical. So having more locations in these individual communities will help limit the amount of gas that is used in transporting just to deposit the reusable packaging.
Are you recommending any type of energy efficient cars or things of that nature?
Well, I think it's all personal preference, right? I mean, it's difficult to tell what people, what car you should drive. But in terms of, the actual, the company picking it up and bringing it to the plant to recycle it, that would be left up, to the board of directors. We're not privy to, exactly, the logistics of it. This is from the outside looking in. Ideally, the new electric cars, either by Tesla or by Ford, a lot of car companies are trying to become electric now. It would be nice, but we just don't have the numbers behind that to really inform a decision. So I can't give you an answer right now.
Thank you.
Hey, good job, guys. I have a couple questions, and my first question is education. Have you guys given any thought to education and how to educate the public about these sorts of things? I find it to be a huge obstacle, and I was just wondering if you have given any consideration on how you'd overcome the hurdle of education.
For sure. It's difficult to inform people and get people to listen and to actually learn. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with social media, throughout, my daily life, whether I be on, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever the case. If you can come up, with a short video that's cool, that grabs people's attention, that does good, it can go viral on TikTok, relatively easily. It's, that's pretty much the easiest platform to at least get one viral video on. And with the loop stations and everything, if the budget is there, you can pretty much guarantee 2 or 3 videos going viral. And, that goes hand in hand with, brand recognition and education. So that's what, how we would inform the people.
Okay, and my second question is, you made a mention, or I'm not sure who made the mention, but you made a mention of these stores, charging a fee for bags, and if you live in California, you know that most of the stores in California charge 10 cents, which, is pretty nominal. And I saw you had one for 25 cents for a bag. Have you given any thought of what you feel would be an effective, and the reason for that, in my opinion, is deterrent of just one-time use plastic. Have you given any thought about what would be an effective fee so that people would be inclined to reuse a bag over and over and over again, instead of, if you're spending $100 worth of groceries, is $1 really worth, I don't think a lot of people might just ignore it, but has there been given any thought about what would be an effective fee for somebody to really think about this sort of reloop, or a reusable type of thing?
No, that's definitely, a great question. Right now with the state of Loop, 25 cents, it's high, personally, it's a high price. Um, Ideally, it would be like, we would like to match it with the price that you pay for the bags at the grocery store. If you don't bring your own bags, the price match would be ideal. Because you'd hope people would choose, all right, I'll pay the same price, but I'll help the environment. You'd hope people would think like that, but that's not always the case. But Loop right now, the reason it's expensive is, it's a small company with a lot of potential. And as the operations expand, throughout the country and the world, it's our hope, that the price goes lower. But right now it's a small company. The price has to compensate, for our overhead and everything. So when it expands, the price will go down. That's our hope.
I'd also like to add something to that. As we mentioned in our slide about ethics, a lot of this is caused by the firms. It's not necessarily a consumer issue. It's the firms not offering reusable packaging. So offering something like a Pigouvian tax, which would tax these firms on the environmental impact of single-use packaging, would cause them to eventually phase out single-use packaging, and then possibly to lessen the effects of the tax that would be placed on single-use packaging. They would also have to increase the price of products that are in single-use packaging, which would also affect the consumers and possibly push them towards reusable packaging options like Loop.
So I have one final question is, how do you propose you deal with the ick factor, meaning reusing packaging that came from other people? How do you get past that icky, like, where did this come from? How do you get past that?
I think that has a lot to do with what you had mentioned earlier about education and sort of educating people on not only the circular economy, but how Looped goes about doing their business, how they go about sanitizing. And I think it will require them to be very transparent about how their process works, how they, sanitize their products. And by being more transparent, I think you can get more consumers behind the idea that these people know what they're doing. They've obviously have a very sound operation, and we can trust that these packages are coming back clean and contaminant free.
I'm just thinking about, okay, we can reuse, and 25 cents for me, it's not a big deal. When we go to the supermarket, maybe we have to think about also the cost of reuse. And if 25 cents or $1 could be enough just to motivate the people to reuse or to avoid the single-use plastics in general.
I think people are very enthusiastic about the idea of being able to reuse packaging. I was talking to my parents about this, and they were like, it's just like it used to be. We would return Coke bottles and they'd get refilled. So I think it's not just about the reduction in cost for consumers, but it's more so about people being excited about conservation efforts and about reusable packaging as a whole.
And you spoke to, the concept. I remember hearing the word, it's a hip concept, and, folks should be interested and excited about it. And then someone else mentioned, well, it is COVID and times are tough and tight. Have you thought about balancing of that? I think of the demographics of a Walmart versus a trendy Whole Foods or a Whole Foods supermarket. Would there be any suggestions to Loop on the addressing the demographics of locations? And
I think it can work in both, right? If you're at a Whole Foods or a really hip, higher end, grocery store, the types of people that, frequent those stores, for the most part, are environmentally aware. They're eating organic food. So And if they're already paying high price, I don't think the price, 25 cents a bag is an issue. And then, if you go to Walmart where you give a deposit and you can get it back, that could also play into the fact, okay, I can, buy these packaging, I'm buying my food already. Next time I come to the grocery store, I can get money back to spend again. The idea of, getting money back, could potentially appeal to people who frequent, the Walmarts or, other stores like that. So I think, Loop has a place for everyone. It just, how they think about Loop may just be a little bit different.
I'll also add to that. We use the example of Aldi, where you give a quarter to use your shopping cart. Aldi is pretty much targeted towards people that are interested in saving money and have a budget. So I think that we're also targeting the same people and also people that are willing to spend more money for packaging.
I think what you could also do, just kind of jumping off of that, is think about all these solutions sort of contributing to each other. So let's say they do require a fee for you to return your packaging. You could also couple that with a coupon for whatever product they purchase so that they are more incentivized to use this further. So they can view it as, yes, I spent maybe a little more than I'd like to on this product, but I get whatever deposit I got back, and I get percentage off my my purchase the next time I go there. So it can help incentivize keeping that circular economy going by providing them some sort of economic benefit.
Excellent answers. Thank you.
Any other questions from the judges? Not, we're about out of time. No? Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Well done. How do you feel?
Feel good. Feel good.
Good. Let me offer this by way of some feedback. It's not really feedback. Amend your resumes and add IBES. And you should say in a section in your resumes that you were selected by your university to compete in an international ethics competition. People reviewing resumes will notice and they'll ask you about it. And you will be very well prepared to tell them what you've done today. Feedback from the judges? For the team?
There is some presentation type things to think about. It's always difficult in day and age with Zoom. I thought you handled, the beginning technical issues very well. I want to remind you to speak loud, clear, open up your mouth and project, slow down a little. Rebecca, in your case, kind of slowing down and really allowing me, especially a silvered-haired woman like me, to hear what you're saying. Alex, I saw some movement and squeaking of chairs and noise in the background, and those are things that are going to happen. My dog was scratching and barking, but just to be aware of being centered in the screen and holding yourself at that executive level, if you will, especially if you're doing interviews via Zoom these days, which we all tend to be doing. But overall, very good. Stay away from the typical reading of the slides. And, I come from a world of data. So the more data in your slides, facts, numbers, statistics certainly do help sell as well. But great job all around.
Again, team, thank you very much. Well done.
Well done.